Americans dread tax day is today, but many won't even pay their taxes this year. According to Gallup, 57% of Americans feel that they pay too much in taxes, but only 55% say do not pay income taxes this year, highlighting the importance of tax plans in an election year. Here to weigh in, Scott Hodge, Tax Foundation President. All right, explain this, Scott. 57% of Americans say their federal income taxes are too high, but only 55% of Americans pay federal income tax. What's going on?
Well, I think people tend to blend all their taxes into one thing and say, I'm just paying too much in taxes. And I think it really happens when incomes are kind of stagnant like they are today. People feel the pinch of taxes even more when their incomes aren't rising.
Now, there is one question that people are asked time and again is how much should you pay of your income in taxes total? From federal income tax to local to state, and they usually say 25% should be the top for everything together. That is so far away from where we are now. Why can't we get there?
Well, I think people have an innate sense of fairness. And even if you look at something like the estate tax or the death tax, a majority of Americans think that that's highly unfair, even though most people will never, ever have an estate large enough to be taxed by it. And so I think we tend to look at it at 25% as being about right. And as you know, taxes take a lot more of the economy than 25%.
Well, coincidentally, Donald Trump has a top rate in his tax plan of 25%. Which of the candidates comes closest to doing what the American people say they want done with taxes?
Well, it's kind of interesting the contrast between, say, Donald Trump and Ted Cruz. Donald Trump has a much more conventional tax cut plan that lowers the top rate to 25%, lowers a lot of the other rates as well. But Ted Cruz lowers the individual tax rate to 10%. It's a 10% flat tax, and he makes up for that with a 16% business flat tax.
Right.
Or what's called a value-added tax. Very interesting approaches, and they both create a lot of economic growth. They both generate about 5 million new jobs.
On the Democrat side, Hillary Clinton has a pretty complex tax plan of her own. We now have 7 tax income brackets for federal income taxes. She would up that to 8 and have a whole lot of new stuff in there. That goes against the simplification plan that I think a lot of Americans want.
Well, certainly both Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders introduced a lot of new taxes. Hillary really aimed at the rich with a new Buffett rule tax to force the rich to pay at least 30% of their income in taxes, and what she calls a fair share surtax. Bernie Sanders then piles on the taxes, raising the top rate to 52%, adding a lot of new other taxes that would raise the top marginal rate to 68% for high-income earners. So you see a lot of new taxes on that side of the aisle.
Scott Hodge from the Tax Foundation. Good to see you, Scott. Thank you very much for being here.
Thanks, David.